Just ahead on the Roundup, councillor numbers to be slashed under a new Tasmanian Government proposal for local government. Victorian councils concerned about disaster funding delays, while New South Wales councils deal with earthquakes and a dead whale. Port Phillip steps up advocacy on extended Grand Prix timelines, a reprimand for Townsville's suspended mayor, a deputy mayor found in breach of conflict of interest rules, a council CEO resigns, and a WA council's future hangs in the balance. Hello, I'm Chris Eddy. Welcome along to the Local Government News Roundup for Wednesday the 17th of September, brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government, with support from Symphony 3, simple, connected customer experiences. Lots happening around the country in local government circles. Let's start with our Victorian report. Firstly, Alpine Shire Council has welcomed a $2.5 million support package from the Victorian Government to assist Porpunka and the Alpine region following the tragic events of August 26 when 2 police officers were killed. The funding will provide direct assistance to local businesses through $5,000 grants, support for events and tourism marketing, and community wellbeing initiatives to help the region recover. Alpine Shire Mayor Sarah Nicholas said the announcement would bring much-needed support to the community in the wake of the tragic events which have deeply impacted the community. ABC News has filed a special report on how rural Victorian councils are facing significant delays in repairing flood-damaged roads due to what they describe as excruciating bureaucratic requirements for disaster funding. Local officials are frustrated over government demands that councils provide before and after photographs of every damaged road segment to qualify for flood recovery funds. The Murray River group of councils reports that some roads damaged in 2022 floods remain unrepaired nearly 3 years later. Jeff Turner, the group's executive officer, told the ABC that the current application process is a bureaucratic nightmare, requiring photographic evidence every 100 metres along thousands of kilometres of rural roads. In Buloke Shire, where 65% of the region experienced flooding in 2022, Mayor Alan Getley says they're still waiting for up to $80 million to complete essential road repairs. Federal Emergency Management Minister Kristy McBain has defended the requirements, stating that evidence is necessary to ensure responsible use of taxpayer funds. Glen Eira Mayor Simone Zamoud has called out the Victorian Government for conducting inadequate consultation on major housing changes during school and Jewish holidays, with limited time for community input. Councillor Zamoud said Glen Eira is already experiencing infrastructure strain and has urged the government to provide a more comprehensive plan that includes necessary infrastructure and services to support the proposed housing growth. She said the future of Glen Eira's neighbourhoods deserves more than a snap consultation, a couple of maps and a handful of drop-in sessions. The City of Port Phillip has welcomed a pause in debate on the Grand Prix Amendment Bill, during which it will seek an urgent meeting with the Minister to personally discuss the bill. The Council has submitted feedback expressing concerns about the extended 21-day race period, limiting community access to Albert Park Reserve and negatively impacting local sports clubs. While acknowledging the Grand Prix' significance, the Council says it's advocating for compensation for affected clubs, improved environmental protections, and a collaborative approach with the Australian Grand Prix Corporation to enhance community benefits and address local impacts. Southern Grampians Shire Council has appointed internationally renowned architects Angelo Candelepis and Associates to complete the detailed design of the new Hamilton Gallery project. The $3.35 million contract marks a significant milestone for what Council Mayor Dennis Hesland describes as one of the most ambitious projects in the history of the Shire. The majority of funding for this stage comes from external sources, including $2.9 million from federal government grants and $400,000 in philanthropic donations. The total construction cost is estimated at $48.9 million, with Council committing up to $10 million towards construction, contingent on securing additional government and private funding. Concept designs were completed earlier this year following community consultation, and the detailed design phase is now underway. And a brand new country music festival called Country by the River will make its debut at Echuca Racecourse next March, featuring Australian artists, local food and drinks in a family-friendly atmosphere. The event, organised by Hollow Event People and supported by Campaspe Shire Council, aims to bring together music and community while supporting local businesses and becoming a highlight on the region's annual events calendar. Rounding up more council news in brief, Maroondah City Council has bestowed its highest honour, the title of Freeman of the City, upon 3 community members, Andrew Brownlee, Helen Parker OAM and Terry Verbeen, in recognition of their extraordinary contributions to the local community. The honorees were presented with illuminated addresses under the seal of council during a ceremony on Monday. The City of Ballarat is seeking feedback on its draft Innovate Reconciliation Action Plan, which aims to strengthen relationships with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples through more than 60 actions focused on 5 key pillars. The Victorian Government has allocated $48.1 million through the Public Libraries Funding Program to support Victoria's 293 library branches. The money goes towards a range of essential activities, including collections, IT facilities and outreach programs. And Benalla Rural City's Carrier Street Bakehouse mural has been added to Victoria's Northeast Silo Art Trail, strengthening the city's position as a regional art destination and the starting point for a 145-kilometre trail that connects several small towns through large-scale public art. This is the Local Government News Roundup, edition number 492. Lots more news to tell you about. We'll get back to that shortly. But first, a message from our supporting sponsor, Symphony 3. Local government teams shouldn't have to waste time on manual data entry into outdated systems. And with Symphony 3 Smart Glue, you don't have to. You can automate repetitive tasks, eliminate double handling and connect legacy systems with ease. Smart Glue helps councils streamline operations, reduce errors and deliver better services without replacing your existing systems. It's time to build smarter, more connected local governments. Find out more about Smart Glue at www.symphony3.com. Time for our New South Wales report now, and Muswellbrook Shire Council is actively inspecting local infrastructure, including roads, bridges, water and sewer systems, following a magnitude 3.7 earthquake that hit the region early yesterday morning. Radio 2NM reported that the council has advised residents to document all damage for insurance purposes, and it's considering applying for a natural disaster declaration to unlock state and federal funding for recovery efforts. A dead whale washed up on Kingscliff North Beach was removed yesterday through a collaborative effort between Tweed Shire Council and commercial operators. The council has advised residents and visitors to exercise caution over the next 24 hours in the wake of the discovery. While the 10-metre carcass was transported to Stotts Creek Resource Recovery Centre for burial, the council is still developing its policy for handling deceased large marine animals on council-managed land. The New South Wales Government and Inner West Council have announced an agreement to partner on rezoning along the Parramatta Road corridor, potentially delivering 8,000 new homes close to the Sydney CBD. The proposed rezoning would cover the section of Parramatta Road within the Inner West local government area, complementing work already underway with Burwood and Canada Bay councils. Inner West Mayor Darcy Byrne said the partnership would give more young people and essential workers a place to live in the Inner West and make sure that increased density is distributed fairly across the whole community. In the wake of the Kiama by-election, Kiama Mayor Cameron McDonald has congratulated the candidates and welcomed newly elected member Caitlin McInerney, while reaffirming the council's commitment to advocating for key community priorities. The Mayor emphasised that the council's state government advocacy plan outlines essential projects requiring strong local representation and state government partnership, including sports complex redevelopment, water facility upgrades and infrastructure improvements. Gunnedah Shire Council has begun construction on a new $3 million animal impound facility expected to be completed by mid-next year. The modern facility will double the holding capacity for dogs and include exercise yards, veterinary treatment spaces and improved public areas. The City of Canterbury Bankstown has launched a new advertising campaign called Don't Be a Pain in the Ash to address cigarette butt littering. The campaign includes signage in public areas and social media messaging and aims to encourage proper disposal of cigarette waste in council-provided bins. Those caught littering face potential fines of up to $500. And Camden Council has welcomed the New South Wales and Australian Government's $65 million South West Roads Planning Program, which includes upgrades to Camden Valley Way and Jersey Road. The announcement addresses key infrastructure needs highlighted in the Council's The Time Is Now campaign, though Mayor Ashley Cagney emphasises the need for clear timelines and guaranteed funding to move from planning to implementation. Rounding up yet more New South Wales Council news, Debbie Killian has been elected as the new Shoalhaven Ward 3 councillor in an uncontested countback election following Natalie Johnson's resignation in August. Ms Killian has over 30 years' experience in the public service and not-for-profit sectors and will be sworn in this week by the acting CEO Brian Barrett. Georges River Council is seeking community feedback on a draft asbestos management policy which aims to guide safe asbestos management and ensure compliance with New South Wales regulatory requirements. And Shoalhaven City Council has secured over $900,000 in state government funding through the Coastal and Estuary Grants Program to protect and manage its coastline through 8 separate projects. The funding is the largest amount received among 29 councils to benefit from the program. On the Local Government News Roundup, we'll look shortly at that major announcement out of Tasmania this week that promises major changes for the sector there. But firstly, let's round up some Queensland news. And Townsville City Council has unanimously voted to reprimand suspended Mayor Troy Thompson after he was found guilty of breaching the councillor code of conduct. The breach stems from what investigators called an inappropriate and unfair email that Mr Thompson sent to a senior council staff member last September, in which he accused the officer of deliberately delaying his request for legal funding. The Townsville Bulletin reported that Mr Thompson must now pay for his own conduct training and has been warned that any repeat behaviour will be treated as misconduct. It comes as Mr Thompson remains suspended on full pay while facing a separate Crime and Corruption Commission investigation into allegations he misled voters about his background. Gold Coast City Council is standing firm in its push for preservation of the Southern Light Rail corridor, despite the state government's recent decision to scrap Stage 4 of the project. Acting Mayor Mark Hamill has led a council vote demanding the Crisafulli government maintain the public transport corridor from Burleigh Heads to Coolangatta, warning that the proposed enhanced bus services will not meet the region's medium to long-term transport needs. The council plans to review public transport options and present its final position to Transport Minister Brent Mickelberg by December. Government data revealed by the Gold Coast Bulletin shows that light rail would have provided nearly 17,000 trips, while the proposed bus system would increase trips by less than 2,000. But local Burleigh MP Herman Vorster has dismissed the council's concerns, calling their projections of a Los Angeles-style freeway through the southern Gold Coast fear and misinformation. And Sunshine Coast Council has established its first citizens panel, comprising 53 diverse residents selected through a lottery system to provide advice on regional issues. The panel's first task is to explore budget and services. Mayor Rosanna Natoli said the new approach to community engagement aims to include underrepresented voices in decision-making processes, ensuring a broader range of perspectives informing Council's future decisions. And in other news out of the Sunshine State this week, the Queensland Government has appointed Bronwyn Blagoyev as the new Director-General of the Department of Local Government, Water and Volunteers. Ms Blagoyev is currently the Independent Assessor and has a background in senior executive roles. The Queensland Reconstruction Authority Board has been refreshed with 4 new appointments, including former Flinders Shire Mayor Jane McNamara as Chair. The board members will serve 3-year terms until the 31st of August 2028. And Torres Shire Council has appointed Mary Barney as its new Chief Executive Officer starting September 22nd. Ms Barney has over 25 years of experience in leadership positions and Indigenous affairs and will relieve Mark Crawley, who's served as interim CEO in recent months. Now let's unpack that big announcement out of Tasmania this week. The state government there has proposed a reduction in councillor numbers from 263 to 203 through a new discussion paper which is now out for public comment. Under the proposals, allowances would increase by 14.25% on average, with councillor pay aligned to responsibilities under a system based on factors like population and development activity. Councils would have either 9, 7 or 5 councillors based on size and complexity. ABC News reported that the proposals have received largely positive reactions so far. Local Government Association of Tasmania President Mick Tucker said they would be completely and warmly welcomed by councils across the state. He praised the government for finding a balance between reducing councillor numbers and increasing remuneration. The changes were described as a step in the right direction by Clarence Mayor Brendan Blomley, who acknowledged there are too many elected members at a local government level. He supports the pay increase as necessary to attract quality candidates. However, Ben Rowie of the Tally Room website believes the plan fails to recognise the important democratic role that councils play, focusing instead on financial efficiency without considering the value of diverse representation. He says that rather than shrinking councils to corporate board sizes, Tasmania would be better served by pursuing council amalgamations that maintain adequate representation while addressing financial concerns. The proposal has also been criticised as a missed opportunity for broader democratic reform by David Adams from the University of Tasmania. He told the Examiner today it would increase the workload for remaining councillors and reduce constituent access. Feedback on the proposals can be submitted until the 7th of November. You'll find a link to the discussion paper in our show notes. Now on to South Australia, and the Deputy Mayor of Mount Barker Regional Council, Samantha Jones, has been ordered to publicly apologise after breaching conflict of interest rules, according to a report from Adelaide Now. The South Australian Ombudsman found that Councillor Jones failed to declare a material conflict of interest when she remained in the chamber and voted on her own appointment as Deputy Mayor, a position that increased her salary by nearly $5,000. Councillor Jones claimed the breach was unintentional, noting it had been common practice within the council for incoming deputy mayors not to declare conflicts. Ombudsman Emily Strickland described being troubled by this apparent tradition within the council, but stopped short of ruling Jones's actions as misconduct. Along with the public apology, the Ombudsman has recommended all Mount Barker council members undergo training on integrity provisions in the Local Government Act. The CEO of Barunga West Council, Marie Warcope, has resigned effective October 31st to take up a position as Executive Director of Property Services within the South Australian Housing Trust. Mayor Leonie Curley has thanked Ms Warcope for her service and leadership since joining the council in May 2020, noting her role in driving outcomes that will continue to benefit the region well into the future. Recruitment for a new CEO will begin immediately, with advertisements to appear next week. And the future of WA's Shire of Coolgardie Council remains uncertain as Local Government Minister Hannah Beasley considers the council's response to a show cause notice. The Shire submitted its response this week, just weeks before local government elections. The council is currently carrying a debt of $27.5 million and has been under scrutiny following an audit that revealed serious financial mismanagement, including the improper employment of a staff member working remotely from the Caribbean. Minister Beasley previously proposed merging Coolgardie with neighbouring Kalgoorlie-Boulder, sparking community opposition on both sides. ABC News reported that the minister has not provided a timeline for her decision, as 2 of the 4 Coolgardie councillors seek re-election at next month's polls. Now for our global report, starting with some stories out of the UK, and I have some US and Canada news as well for you today. Firstly, former Newcastle Council leader Nick Kemp has been cleared of bullying allegations following an investigation into his treatment of a senior director. BBC News reported that the findings indicated no breach of the council's code of conduct. The investigation cost over £74,000 and concluded with confidential findings that will be reported to the council's Audit and Standards Committee. Aberdeen residents affected by one of the city's largest embezzlement cases are beginning to see some financial relief. Aberdeen City Council has confirmed that over £300,000 has now been repaid to victims of convicted fraudster Michael Patterson. BBC News reported that Patterson, who was sentenced to 4 years in prison last year, embezzled more than £1 million from residents' council tax accounts during his 17-year scheme that ran from 2006 to 2023. The council has managed to recover approximately £520,000 in total, with £417,000 coming from Patterson's pension fund and an additional £104,000 through proceeds of crime action. The Mayor of Ripon in North Yorkshire has resigned ahead of a vote of no confidence in her leadership. Jackie Crozier, who made history as Ripon's first openly gay female mayor, stepped down on Monday evening along with Deputy Mayor Gary Campbell-John, according to BBC News. The resignation comes after 3 council staff members, including the Chief Operating Officer, who'd served for 9 years, recently left their positions. In her resignation statement, Crozier expressed disappointment that councillors didn't approach her privately before publicly initiating the no-confidence action. She also suggested her position as a female out gay mayor may have factored into the situation, a claim which has been strongly denied. To Canada and in Ontario, Essex Town Council has unanimously approved a motion to develop new rules targeting growing incivility at council meetings and town facilities. CTV News reported that the decision comes after a heated incident last month when former Mayor Larry Snively confronted councillors during a meeting about a wedding venue proposal, pointing at those who opposed the project and declaring they were done in the next election before storming out. Councillor Brad Allard, who introduced the motion, cited that incident and other instances where town representatives have been accosted in the community. The proposed policy would establish clear consequences for inappropriate conduct, potentially including communication restrictions or facility bans for serious violations. In Hamilton, the City Council's Planning Committee has unanimously approved new regulations requiring landlords who provide air conditioning to maintain temperatures of 26 degrees Celsius or lower in rental units during summer months. However, CBC News reported that tenant advocates are criticising the measure for not going far enough, as it only applies to units where air conditioning is already included in lease agreements. The new bylaw amendment, which will be enforced between May and September on a complaints basis, gives landlords 14 days to comply after a violation is reported. And from the US, Knoxville City Council is set to vote today on a measure that would require the mayor to give council members more advance notice before they're asked to approve major city contracts, according to a report from Broncos Wire. Currently, the mayor's office provides details on contracts exceeding $25,000 just 4 days before scheduled council meetings. Council members argue this timeline is insufficient for thorough review and community consultation. The push for change gained momentum last month after council members were surprised by the mayor's plan to sell nearly 13 acres of a historic park with little warning. That vote had to be postponed twice to allow for proper review. And in Florida, Palm Beach officials are taking a stand against what they see as state overreach. USA Today reports that the town council has decided to join a statewide lawsuit challenging Florida's new emergency management law, Senate Bill 180. The controversial legislation, signed by Governor Ron DeSantis in June, prevents local governments from making changes to zoning laws deemed restrictive or burdensome if they're within 100 miles of a hurricane's landfall. Town officials are concerned the vaguely worded law could derail their efforts to update Palm Beach's ageing zoning code. The town will join approximately a dozen other local governments in the legal challenge, including Manatee and Orange counties, Jupiter, Lake Park and Naples. And that's your midweek dose of news from around the world of local government here on the Local Government News Roundup. It's edition number 492, recorded on the morning of Wednesday, the 17th of September, 2025. If you have comments or feedback, you can send an email to lgweeklynews@gmail.com, and you can find out more about this episode, including story links, at lgnewsroundup.com. The Roundup is brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government, with support from Symphony 3, simple, connected customer experiences. We're recorded in the city of Greater Geelong, Victoria, on the land of the Wadawurrung people of the Kulin Nation, and we come your way every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. Until next time, thanks for listening and bye for now. The VLGA is offering a special councillor professional development intensive series. Partner with 3 other councils and save more than 50% off the minimum cost of completing all 13 modules in Year 1. The intensives will be held over 3 days. They're cost effective, time efficient and promote the benefits of peer-to-peer and face-to-face learning. In addition to the intensives and in recognition that every council has different needs, the VLGA also offers bespoke training options, both online and in person. A faculty of facilitators will work with you to customise a program that responds directly to the unique professional development needs of your council. To find out more, head to www.vlga.org.au.